Hello everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Today is Monday, October 11th, 2021. I hope you can hear me okay. I have this new little fancy microphone, which I've not really used very much, but here we are. I'm right next to a highway, so hopefully that doesn't affect the sound too bad. Hi folks tuning in, so nice to see you. Hi Flan Flan, hi Divinity Lucy, hey Jasmine. Okay, so first off, I'd like to make the intention that this conversation soothe you and align you and let you become more attuned to the wisdom inside yourself. I think that we're taught so often to look outside of ourselves for answers. And, we don't live in a vacuum. This world is a real place. It's good for us to see what's coming back to us from the universe outside. But also, it's so important to remember that we're here to act upon the world, not just respond to the world. Jasmine. And so there are two questions that I was told by a friend who is an epic scholar, and she studies lots of female writers, really empowered, smart women, change agents. And I don't remember who it was who said this, but if any of you remembers, feel free to let me know. And it was that there are two questions at all times to ask. And one is, how are you doing? So I'm curious, how are you guys doing? We're in October. The veils are getting thinner all the time. It's a great time of ego, death, and rebirth right now for just about everybody in whatever way. And also we're in a period of Mercury retrograde. So that's been interesting. So the first one is, how are you doing? And that's you, yourself, your experiences, your living lifeness, right? And the second one is, how is the work going? And by the work, I mean the capital W work. I mean the thing that you're here to do, the thing that is your reason, whether or not it's your vocation, what you get paid for. Because a lot of times it's not necessarily your vocation and what you get paid for, what you're really here to do, especially depending on where your gifts lie and whether or not the world that you live in knows how to honor and pay you for those gifts. So I'm curious, let me know, how are you doing and how is the work going? What's happening with you? How is your world? Lately, what I have seen in my own experience and lots of experiences of the people around me is a greater grounding in. So each of us have this life trajectory that we're on, and every few years we have great big transitions, maybe few, maybe many years. But lately I've been seeing, at least in my life, the pattern over the last decade or so, the last 10-ish years. Certain things coming to a close, certain things coming to an end. And they're very subtle, and you can choose to fight it or go with it. But even when you become more of yourself, even when you're growing into greater versions of yourself and greater scope in your capital W work, the greater growth means that there is a part of you that has to die, that has to not be the one you present with, that has to not be the one that you base all your decisions on, the input of that part of you. So, hi Aurora Ribbon, so nice to see you, darling. Hi Oshi Rises, hope you're doing well, sending you lots of love. Oh, and Cora's here. Hi Cora, hey Alex, hey Endor, hey Ruby. Nice to see everybody. I hope you guys are doing well today. Reminding you to get outside, even if you're by a highway, which you may be able to hear in the background. But yeah, so how are you doing? How is the work going? What is dying inside of you? What is expanding that then your new expanded version means the death of the previous one? And one of the things that you can do in October, and this is one of the things that I'm going to teach you guys how to do in the October newsletter I'm sending out, which you can sign up for on my website, is how to say goodbye to the pieces of you that are dying. I had this great mentor when I was in college named Mark Brady. He wrote a little book of listening skills and a father's little book of listening skills, or a little book of listening, and has some really incredible advice. He's a career psychologist, works with a lot of people in the death and dying world and all over the place, right? In a very good way. And he used to talk about good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end, especially in our classes, because everyone starts really excited, especially when you're taking on some type of learning or upgrade, right? So In the middle, also, it's really good. You're okay, you're in it, you're moving right along, your pedal is to the metal, your wheels are on the ground. Okay, great. But then at the end, especially in the culture that I've been raised in the United States, we don't really end things that peacefully, that beautifully, that gracefully and smoothly. It tends to be, if something ends, you have to cut it off intensely, you have to avoid it, you have to run away from it, you don't talk about it, you don't look at it. So when there's a piece of ourself that's needing to die to make way for a greater element of who we are to come forward, it's so natural, or habitual, we'll say, because I don't think it's necessarily natural, to just want to tuck it away and not look at it and not say goodbye to it and not thank it. So something that you can do now that it's October is either it can be a written thing, or it can be a movement thing, or it can be an art thing, or whatever it is that appeals to your more creative, deeper brain. And give thanks and release with gratitude and love the parts of yourself that it's time for you to let go of, that are showing you by what's happening in your life and in your external world, the things that are showing you that it's time to go, the things that are showing you that it's time for you to shift. And so the piece that you're shifting out of, give it thanks, give it love. As a wanderer and a traveler, one of the things that I really love is when I can time it out well. So I'm happy to come and happy to go. So things are the right amount of time. So when I'm in any space and around any group of people or whatever, I'm so happy to see them. But then it's like you get enough of interaction and connection that you're satisfied. You give enough so that you feel like you've been seen and you've represented yourself well. And then when you go, it's a joyful thing. Although you might miss the people or the place or whatever it is, you also know that the next place you go is also going to have its beauty and magic and purpose and power, right? So making a note or doing some type of action with your conscious mind to thank and release the parts of yourself that you're letting go of is a life upgrade. It's a life hack that makes transitions so much easier, because you don't have to say, okay, I don't like that anymore, that's why I'm growing. You can say, well, that was a beautiful phase of my life. I'm grateful for it. I wouldn't change it. It's been great. But now I'm moving into another one. I don't have to leave that because that's bad. I'm just outgrowing it. It's like when you're a kid and you outgrow your clothes. Sometimes you outgrow a piece of clothes you really love, but it's just too small. It's not bad because it's too small. You're not bad because you're too big. You're just needing to go on and get bigger and allow yourself to have the opportunity to get bigger. So when it comes to that, it's, all right, what do you need to do to get bigger? First, enough rest. Rest is not valued like it should be, like it could be in our culture. And most people are running on a rest deficit pretty much all the time, I found. So if you have enough empty space, empty time, not always rushing around and doing something, feeling afraid to say no. That was a great thing about the pandemic time, was the excuse to say no to stuff. And allowing yourself to just dream sometimes. Allowing yourself to just connect with Mother Nature sometimes without any big goal, without any big purpose or task, That's where a lot of the really deep, wonderful things come through. That, again, are the capital W work. For those of you who are gotten here since I've talked about it, we're saying, how are you doing and how is the work going? So how are you personally doing? And then the capital W work, which is your big reason for being here. And again, the world does act on us and we do respond to it, but also it's important for us to act on the world. It's important for us to keep enough mental space clear and to keep ourselves fed and nourished and exercised and grounded enough that we can hear the answers to the questions. Because asking the question and determining that something needs to be upgraded is only part of what needs to happen. That's the first part of what needs to happen. And so many places over our world are saying this is wrong and that is wrong and this is wrong and that is wrong. And that all is true. There are definitely things that need to be upgraded and healed and shifted and rewritten. But if we never get quiet enough, we can't actually hear the answers. So we don't actually get anywhere. So I encourage you to get quiet, take some time, get some rest. Okay, let's see. How are you guys doing? Alex, oh, thank you. This is actually a shirt, but I love it. It's like a linen thing. Let's see. Endings and new beginnings. Oh, yeah, a big deal, Jasmine. It's happening for everyone right now. And it's happening differently for everybody. It probably depends on your own personality, your human design type, your astrology. I don't even know all the things that make you unique. But I am seeing great big trends of things just being outgrown. Again, that's the vibe. It's not that it's like you need to leave the situation because it's bad for you. No, you need to level up into your next space because it's time to grow, which is a different vibe, which I think feels better personally. Oh, she rises, so much is happening. Yeah, so much is happening. Also, I hope your new job is going great. I saw that you got that not too long ago. Hi, Logan. Nice to see you. Hi, Samantha. Hi, Sophia. Anna. Always love to see you, darling. Thanks, Young Bedtime. Sending blessings right back to you. Adele, thank you. How are you guys? How are you doing? Are you going through the transitions pretty easily? Are you able to be gentle enough on yourself? Are you able to be gentle enough on each other? Are you able to spend enough time alone? Also, when you're in these stuck kind of frustrating places that Mercury retrograde and also October, the end and beginning of cycles, can bring onto you, it's a nice idea to create something, whether it be art of some type or music, or like I said before, just movement, just putting on music and allowing yourself to do whatever movements your body feels like doing without it needing to look a certain way or be a certain way, just letting your body somatically tell you what it needs and move. And in fact, I would say the more awkward, the worse that you think it looks, probably the better, because those are movements that you wouldn't necessarily do otherwise, you know. Thank you. Awesome. Starting next week, you're feeling something feels good luck. May you be well hydrated and caffeinated when you need to. That's what's in this cup. Y'all know I don't always drink coffee, but today is the day for that. Okay, the milk crystal. I see you're very emphatic. I don't really understand your comment. If you rephrase it, I can probably answer it a little bit better. Logan, okay, this shift in perspective was so needed. Yay! Going through big work, but leaning into all my grounding practices, going to have a fire today to release as you suggested. Thank you. And also, yeah, whatever it is you're letting go of, and giving thanks that part of yourself, you know. Okay, so for instance, so when I manifest stuff, sometimes I like to talk about it with you guys, but sometimes I also don't, because I feel like when my path changes and it causes emotions in me that I don't necessarily need to have. But one thing I'm considering and putting into place is grounding for a while. Just living in LA for a second, near my family. With the pandemic, it's less fun for me to travel. So having a home base that I travel out from, rather than being completely wander on the road as I have these past several years. And even though I've wanted this for a while, and I've pursued it here and there for a while, I'm realizing that the piece of my wandering soul, which feels so secure and safe in the fact that I could pack my car and go at any given time, you know, even if it's, I don't know, Airbnb that I've rented for a couple months or whatever it may be, I could just pack up and go. That deep sense of security and my freedom, it's hard to let that go, you guys. I know that many people live a more grounded life, right? And there are different stressors when you're nomadic. It's not less stress. It's just in different areas. It's the same amount. It just depends on how you navigate stress. But I'm seeing that the part of me that has been really identified with very, very light perching every world I'm in, never really grounding and strong, never really becoming a part of the more static, permanent community, which of course I would love to do, but it hasn't been in the cards with me for me until now in a while. There are the wiggles that come through, and I'm like, oh God, am I sure? And that's growing past, because then I just tell myself, well, you can still travel. It doesn't mean you can't travel. You just have a home base, put all your stuff, to put your plants, to get your stuff out of storage that's all over the United States, various things that are in storage. And that feels like a freedom. But it also feels a little bit scary. Here's Lily. I'll show you guys her tail. Oh, can't quite get on camera. Come here. Say hi to the people. Okay. She's just too cool for the camera. Let's see. I missed the beginning of this. Is there a secret tip, Maris? Well, yeah, we were talking about how we're doing and how the work is going, which are two different things. The work is what comes through us. The us is how we're doing. So there's our personal experience of life and our emotions and our relationships and whatever. And then there's the grander capital W work that we're really here to do. And how is that going? And those are two different questions. If we're doing better, often the work is better, but sometimes we have to go through the shit ourselves in order to do the work. You know, it's not always easy path of roses. Sometimes you have to machete your way through the jungle. Sometimes you got to climb the thorns. Sometimes you have to fight. And it's all part of life. We're supposed to feel all the emotions. But if you can center back down in the work, the capital W work that you're really here to do, which also changes over time, then in my experience, it makes it kind of easier. It makes me more solid in my movement and in my purpose if I can make it more about just me, more than about just me. If I can make it about what I'm here to do rather than just my own experience, especially when it's hard, then you can like get up and pull your boots up and get it together, you know, because for any of us going through something, there's always somebody on this earth that is going through something worse and that would probably change places with you. So it's important to remember, I think. Okay. Oh, and about tips, getting outside, resting plenty, hydrating. Oh my gosh. If you're dehydrated, you might be sad and all you need to do is drink some effing water. Like, and take a nap. Truly, it's so simple. But this is how we miss it, you know? Okay, let's see. I can't tell what color your eyes are. They change. Sometimes they're hazel, sometimes they're blue, sometimes they're gray. Mirror work is really great, Maris. Just looking at yourself in the mirror deeply. First off, looking at yourself deeply in the eyes and seeing what it brings up. In my Loving Touch class, one of the assignments is to do mirror work and do eye gazing with whoever you're doing the class with, but there's also an option to do the class solo. And even if you are doing it with a partner, you still also have mirror time where you're just staring into your own eyes. We're so used to looking at each other's eyes, and we're used to looking at ourselves to assess if we are presentable. You know, how easy is it to look in the mirror without judgment of yourself? Just look at what you look like without being like, this is good, this is bad, I need to shift that, I need to shift that. Just looking deeply into your own eyes. Not scanning your face, not going over your body, just staring into your own eyes like you would stare into the eyes of someone else and seeing what comes up. Super important. And then just affirming to yourself in the mirror, saying, I love you. What can I do for you? What do you need? And just seeing what comes up in your mind and emotions, just exploring. Okay. Are there more YouTube, that London, Miami girl, are there more YouTube videos to come? I missed them. Yes. I'm sorry. I have been slacking on my YouTube. You know why? And I intend to post this. I intend to post this on YouTube if my tech lets me, because we got issues. It's more retro. Try not to assume. But the thing about YouTube, which is why I sometimes procrastinate a little, is that some of the people on YouTube, I think as you can be so completely anonymous, even on Instagram, usually people like put a little something up. But something about YouTube, I think that people just come to get their anxiety out, and sometimes people can be really mean. And even though I get like one negative comment for like 19 or 20 or 30 positive comments, still it hurts when someone's just mean or just angry. And so since the other platforms are a lot of times just a little bit nicer, I just find myself gravitating toward them. Is this an excuse? Yes. Do I need to let it determine my future? No. But it is telling you why. But yes, I do play, especially since I got this new handy dandy mic, because so often one of the things that people on YouTube get mad at me for is if they can't hear. So yes, there's more. There's more coming. Sierra, hello, darling. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I have a new curl care routine over the past year, so I need to make you guys a video about how that works. Young bedtime. Well, I love that perspective of security within freedom versus security with certainty and solid foundation, right? And I come from wandering feet folks. I mean, granted, my ancestors, even the most recent ones, did usually have a home base and travel out from it. But yeah, for me, there's been this something of like, I could go at any time, and that feels safe to me. Also because I love the open road and that feeling when I'm not around any people and it's just me and the horizons on each side. It feels like part of my soul and spirit can breathe in a way that it's hard for me to breathe in cities. So it's just something that I am balancing. And one of the deaths that I'm having right now is that wanderer part. The part that's like, but I want to just be able to go at any time. It's like, yeah, but I also want to be able to have a garden and, you know, a cozy, fancy bed that I get for myself because I'm not just renting an Airbnb for a month, you know? And I know that I feel like most people have a more solid, grounded place as far as place goes. But for me, it's spirit and routine that I ground into. So, you know, kissing that wandering self goodbye, or just like letting myself expand past her edges and do things that she might be a little bit afraid of because of past trauma or just unfamiliarity or whatever. So yeah, that's where my growing edges are right now. But I trust that it'll be good. Oh, it's Mayte. You missed the Ascended Adornments. I was thinking about making another gem strand for the holidays. Also for the holidays, Starseed Wilding, the third book in the Starseed trilogy, is up for order. You can order a signed copy of it. I'm only getting a small amount of copies, and I will sign them and personalize them and mail them out if you want to get it for yourself or a gift for someone. I haven't done that in a while, since they first came out in 2019. So that's happening. Also, things to announce to you is Fierce Goddess is up for enrollment, and at this time it's a self-done course, so you can do it on your own timeline. Sometimes I know with the courses that I teach, they go super deep. They're subtle, because it's not that it requires a lot of time, but it brings stuff up, and sometimes you need time to sit with things. Sometimes you need time for life to come back around, and it can be pressure when you're doing it with a group and you feel like the group is leaving you behind. So Fierce Goddess you can get just by itself. Also, my November private spiritual mentorship is open for enrollment. I've got 3 spots left in November. Also, I'm going to be taking on some apprentices. More to come with that soon. And what else? Of course, still doing one-on-one readings and sessions. So people have been asking me a lot if I do one-on-one readings and sessions. And yes, I do. I have since 2012. Yeah, 2013. 2012, something like that. But yeah, I do one-on-ones, and I do one-offs, which are the sessions, and then I do long-term ones, which are the mentorship programs, and they're a month each, and I don't do them all the time, but I do have open spots for November. So if you want one, you let me know. Okay, Young Bedtime, because your foundation moves with you, not confined. Exactly, because I ground into the things that I take with me and the routines that I take with me, not the place. But I would love to ground into the place. It just hasn't been the cards for me yet, but it seems like that's one of the frontiers that I'm looking at right now. So I'm inviting you guys to see what is the frontier that you're looking at? What is the thing that kind of scares you, kind of draws you, that requires you to grow past where you were before, you know? And also, it's important to know that stuff that worked before might not work now, and also stuff that didn't work before might work now. So allow yourself to speak to the universe and act on the universe, and then see what it brings back to you. That's important. Okay, let's see. Thank you, Joshua. Let's see. Divinity Lucia, blessings to you too. Hi, Ruby. Thanks, Young Bedtime. It is lovely to chat with you. Oh, please do a curl routine. I've been meaning to try the clay mask. I will, Maris. I'll probably do it on a live and thing because it takes a few minutes. And there's a different one when it's wet or when it's dry and I'm refreshing. But it has definitely shifted in the past year what I do for my curls. And I haven't seen anyone else do what I do. I'm sure people do. I just haven't seen it. So it has been kind of created by me. Jasmine, when am I coming to the UK? After travel is easier, honestly. After there's not a pandemic that's holding everybody's feet. So it will eventually happen, but I do not have any current plans to come. Actually, right now I'm just grounding into LA, which also, if you're in LA and you want to do one-on-one sessions in LA, I'm opening that up soon because we could do them outside. I'm not really worried about exposure, but it will be available soonish. Okay, Joshua, you want my my thoughts on God? Well, what I think God is the energy that, like, I think that we are part of the body of God. If you zoom out and you've got Earth and our little solar system and our little galaxy, and you've got all these galaxies, and then you've got pancake universes and multiple dimensions and all that kind of stuff. So I do think that the view that a lot of humans on Earth have is super limited of God. I think that, the fact that people disagree just from different places on the Earth is a little ridiculous, because we're only one little island in this great vast ocean of many, many planets and many, many civilizations and many, many histories and many, many ways of being and living. So what I think that God actually is the consciousness that this entire thing, not just Earth, but the entire cosmos, the entire universe, is the body of. Much like you've got your finger and then you've got you. So humans, each of us, each consciousness, or even larger, each tree, each planet, whatever you want to say, is a finger, is not the whole God. So we can only understand a little bit, but we can feel it. And the wonderful thing about God is it's in you, it is you, and it's fractally larger. So it's ultimately sensitive. It feels every hair on your head, right? It is every hair on your head. And it's also so much more. So if you're wanting to know it better, I would say just ask it to talk to you louder, clearer. And you also have to remember that equations and cause and effects and grand plans are so much vaster than anything we can comprehend, because we are little creatures on a little planet living for a little blip of time. The thought that we can really understand, I think, is a little ridiculous, but we can feel it, and we can intend to move in accordance with it and to be a beneficial presence to the rest of this whole thing. So that's what I think God is. Okay. Spaceman Bigfoot gardens are so fun. They are. I have little, potted plants, but no, I want morning glories, dang it. I want moonflowers. I want a sunflower house. You guys don't know what a sunflower house is? I'm going to tell you. I learned this when I was a Waldorf teacher, which being a Waldorf teacher was a lovely year in my life, and I learned so much cool stuff. It's totally fairy school. If you are part fairy or you have children who are part fairy, please look into Waldorf education or Waldorf-inspired education. Okay. So you dig a furrow, one furrow. You can make it round, you can make it square, whatever. You leave a gap. And into the furrow, you plant sunflower, morning glory seeds all the way around. And then as the sunflowers grow, the morning glories grow and twine around the sunflowers. And then when it gets to a certain height that you have determined based on how tall the sunflowers grow and what you want to be able to fit in this house, you put twine in a grid between the sunflowers, and then the morning glories grow across the top, and it makes a little house that just lasts for the summer. I want that so much. I've not lived in a place long enough that had the right weather to do that. I lived in Sedona for a couple years, but that was a little intense. So gardens, yes, and growing food and just being able to talk to the earth. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Ringing Cedars of Russia books. The first one is called Anastasia. And there's so many truths in there, whether or not, there's a bunch of conversation about, is she real, is she not real? I personally think that she is, just hanging out there, real, I do. But whatever, regardless, the conversation and the elements of the book will spark your creativity. And one of the things that she says that I do believe is true is that when you tend plants and you exchange breath with them, and you exchange your body chemicals with them. She gives some extra tips on how to do that even more, but I think even just minimally touching them, breathing near them, communicating with them, tending them, they pick up on your body's needs. So what they produce is medicinal specifically to you. That makes sense to me, because nature harmonizes its own atmosphere. So if you're part of the atmosphere, then it's going to produce what you need to be harmonized. And if I could wave a wand and shift what we're taught as humans, everyone would know how to build their own homes with materials from the location, and everyone would know how to grow and prepare. Everyone would know how to grow and prepare their own food by the time they were a teenager, young adult. The fact that every other animal, birds can build their nests, beavers can build their dams and so on, but humans don't know how to build their own houses as a rule, that seems a little ridiculous to me. There's lots of that in this world that I'm just like, it doesn't make sense. Here's the answer. Why am I the only one who's talking about this? But, such is the downside of not being able to tune out stuff that a lot of people can just tune out, I guess. Ultra sensitivity is really lovely, but it can also be really hard sometimes. I was just talking to a friend about this the other day, about how telepathy works and how my empathness works, and he's like, that seems like it would be really unpleasant and kind of excruciating to just hear everybody and feel everything all the time. And I'm like, why do you think I head out into the desert for days at a time or take months-long sabbaticals to clear all this? Because it's not easy, and it is easier to drug yourself out of it, or drink yourself out of it, or smoke yourself out of it, or whatever yourself out of it. But I don't think that's the point. I don't think we would have been made like this if we were just supposed to numb it out, But then again, I'm also privileged to live a life where I can feel it and where I can run away and escape a little bit. So when it comes down to planting in a spot again, I'm like, all right, I got to be really careful about where I choose to be. I have to make sure it feels really good. I have to make sure my spirit can thrive there, because if I promise to be in a place where I'm wilting, I won't be able to do my work. So no pressure, right? Just find something perfect. Hi, C Sensi, so lovely to see you, darling. I'm glad that made sense, Jasmine. Thank you. All right, no problem, Joshua. Nice. I've always wanted to make a sunflower hideout, Spaceman Bigfoot. If you do, please post it. I would love to see the different sunflower houses that people make. There's so much cool stuff you can do with plants. I also would love to grow bamboo and mold it into different things, like a room or a chair or whatever is needed in the space, I guess. So anyway, we have tangented all over the place. So let me see, what announcements do we have? There's a new newsletter that I'm sending out monthly. You can go sign up for it on my website. There is Fierce Goddess class now available, and I'm going to be releasing more all the time. I am going to do a Creating 2022 workshop, which I did in 2021. So if you took that, let me know how it went. Did it work? Did your year get created? I find that when I do this in the beginning of the year, it always works. And it's super unexpected how things come into play too. Also, I'm thinking I'm going to do another Healing Hands workshop. I've done one before, and it's up and you can buy it right now on my website. But there was one of the participants lived by a busy street. I live right by the highway. Well, I'm staying right by the highway right now. And so whenever they would talk, it was really, really loud noise. And that just bugs me over time. It wasn't their fault, but it's time for me to do a new one. And also November private spiritual mentorship. There are 3 spots. There are 3 spots left. And there are private sessions available, of course. End and beginning of a new year is a nice time to get a session to like see what's going on, what you should shift, or anytime really. But I like to mark my life with things like that too. What else? Also, Starseed Wilding is available to get a signed copy right now. I'm getting a bunch printed. When I get them, I will send them out to whoever wants one. You can buy it on my website. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Working on more podcasting. Working on more YouTube. Yes, I will. Yeah, and I think that's it. Let's give you guys a Reiki pop before we go. Ooh, I'm feeling all this heat in my body right now. Just so you know, if you're ever having conversation and you start to feel hot, that means energy is flowing and running. Some of it could be the coffee, but I don't think it is because I've only had like a third of a cup of coffee. Okay, so set an intention to get whatever you need, to get whatever you want. Also, it's in my stories. I pulled a card today for you guys, and it was take a break. Don't push the wheel so hard today. Let yourself just be in the life that you're actually in, and see what it's like to live this life for just a second, just a day. And I also find that when you kind of step away from the problem, you can often get the answers that you need, right? They come through a lot easier. So decide that you'll get whatever you need. I'll decide to send you through whatever you need, adaptogenic style. So all right. May you be soothed. May you be healed and directed to exactly where you need to go. May the journey feel good and make sense. May you have lots of help and support along the way. May you remember that you're loved and you're special. There's nobody like you. We need you here shining. So get all the sleep you need, get all the rest you need, take all the breaks you need so that you can really do the thing that you're here to do. Our world is changing. We have different problems than before, but we also can have different solutions than before if we just get quiet and listen and feel and look clearly, and don't let ourselves get trapped into the boxes that other people have said are the only options we have, because they're not our only options. You just have to think up new stuff. This is your greatest tool. Think outside the boxes. There's a whole world outside the boxes. Most of the world is outside the boxes. Okay, love you guys.